You were listening to episode 142 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John, and I'm joined by Ryan.
Hey, everybody, here at the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about games we've recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and we believe in magic in this week's Inflation Deflation Challenge.
That might not be the right song there, Ryan, but we are playing some Magic the Gathering this week. And you, once again, got out of playing Blue's Clues.
Yeah, and I think you've forgotten something more than the realms this week, John. We've got a special guest with us.
So if you caught our episode back in November, we had Justin on, and we were talking about some of the really just fun gaming memories that we had together and talked with Ryan about it too, and it was just a good, fun episode. Justin.
Hello, I'm Justin, just an ordinary guy.
I like that. Okay.
We all decided that this week we would come together, do another group podcast, and I mean, these guys are in a D&D campaign together. The D&D Magic set just launched, so we're going to be talking all things D&D Magic today.
But, first we have to talk about our current pickups and our currently playing. So, our recent pickups. So, my recent pickups include the Mortal Kombat 2 1-Up Arcade, which I think I brought it up last week, but I set it up this week. It's pretty cool, so I'm enjoying that. I got my Retron 5, came in the mail, so that was pretty sick. I started playing a couple of those Japanese games that I picked up from that massive collection back last year in April. So go check out the Great Gaming Pickup of 2020, that episode, where you can learn what I actually picked up. And what else did I get? I think that was it. I don't know. Yeah, that might have been it. Those were two biggies. Oh, and then, of course, the Magic Booster Box. I finally opened it. And then also Ryan got me a gift earlier this week of a Magic the Gathering Fat Pack. So that was cool. Pulled 4 of the Planeswalkers out of the new Magic set.
I know. I should have just opened that myself.
You should have. Yeah, I mean...
I should have got 2.
I thought it was pretty cool because, they had the D20 dice and it was actually randomized. This never randomized in a fat pack.
Yeah, so normally it's stacked for life counter and such. But I guess, and it's a bigger dice than normal.
Yeah,
so
it's definitely bigger than the ones I remember getting before.
Yeah, so it's definitely a bigger die, and it's an actual D20 versus a standard stacked dice for Magic, which is interesting. Although I haven't picked up a fat pack in, ever, because I don't buy fat packs usually. I just buy booster boxes. So that was interesting to finally open a fat pack and see what I could get out of that. And dude, getting that Lolth the Spider Queen Mythic Rare, it's pretty badass. But those are all of my current pickups or recent pickups. What did you get?
Oh my god. Are you guys ready? Are you out there in Podcastville? Are you ready for what happened this week? Ryan bought and played stuff. Oh my god. So, last weekend, I was randomly at a Walmart, and I've been hearing online, hey, if you're randomly at a Walmart, take a look, and you might find an Xbox. And I found an Xbox. So I picked up a Series S, which I've been talking about forever. I got Game Pass. The Playdate came out, sold out in 20 minutes on Thursday. I got me one of them too. And I got me a mess of Forgotten Realms, D&D Magic the Gathering cards as well. So this has been a super awesome, amazing week, and I've never been happier. And I do have an announcement to make. I reflected on what the New Games Resolution means to me, what it means to the people, that, we're supposed to stand up and find a game that we've been wanting to play and play that game. 2 years ago, I thought Persona 4 was that game for me, but I have now been to the other side, and there is only Game Pass now. There are so many things to distract me and leap from game to game. And, with Game Pass, you have to ask yourself not what you can do for Game Pass, but what Game Pass can do for you. We choose not to finish these games, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. And as God is my witness, I may never finish or buy another game for the rest of the year. Thank you very much.
So, in other words, folks, Ryan has now agreed to play Spice World on the PlayStation 1 as well. So it looks like he has Blue's Clues and Spice World because he couldn't complete Persona 4.
I have returned Persona 4 to the John Library, but this week I played Medium, I played Halo, I played Night in the Woods, which I've been wanting to play forever, Dead Cells. Oh, man.
The real question is, did you play Mario
Doom?
Odyssey?
No, I did not play Mario Odyssey.
Of course, and that's the game he has played.
I still have Mario Odyssey. I still will try to finish that one by the end of this year.
Wait, you can play Mario Odyssey on Game Pass?
No, I just still have John's
He
copy
borrowed it
of
from
Mario
me.
Odyssey.
So this man comes up to me with a Mario gift bag, and pretty much just is like, here. And I look at it, and it's got my Mr. Mayo or Mr. Mayo-Agi, whatever the hell it is I got, the Mayo game from Lorenz. I'm like, this doesn't count. And then he goes ahead and hands me an Elgato. I'm like, this doesn't count. That's mine too. And then I pull out Persona on the PS Vita. I'm like, this doesn't count. And then I find my Magic Booster pack. Yeah, that's a shame, dude. But yeah, it looks like Spice World.
It's pretty good gifts, John.
Yeah, I think not next week because we probably will record remotely, but 2 weeks from now, looks like you got an hour of Blues Clues, so we'll be doing an inflation deflation a couple weeks on Blues Clues, and then a couple weeks after that, we'll do an inflation deflation on Spice World.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
I bet they're phenomenal games.
Yeah. As far as my currently playing, I am still playing God of War, which I am enjoying a lot. Game is actually pretty damn cool. So I just got past the boat area where the giant like world eater type snake thing that wraps around the whole world comes out. And that's the very beginning, the first instance in the lake kind of levels down. So that's where I'm at. Haven't played it since Justin was here. But yeah, that's where we're at.
I've been telling him to play the game since it came out, and he finally just got to it. That's how busy he is, man.
That's busyness and backlog hell. All right, well, Ryan, before we jump into what we're going to be discussing today, I know we got a couple things. One of them is going to be a discussion on retro games and whether or not they have, or which ones have held up, and I've got an argument on that one. We're also going to talk about a man who beat Dark Souls with a pizza controller, so that was pretty
impressive
interesting.
Stuff.
Very impressive. We're obviously going to talk a little bit of Magic the Gathering here before we talk about that, and the Commander decks we played today. But first, you can find us on GameDeflators.com. You can find us at Game Deflators on Twitter, at The Game Deflators on Instagram and Facebook, and of course those lovely podcast applications like you're listening to right now, along with Apple Podcasts, YouTube, pretty soon coming to you, Spotify, Podbean, Podcast Addict, CastBox, Overcast, Podcast Guru, everywhere podcasts are found. You'll find us there, and also leave a 5-star review. Try to leave 2 5-star reviews if you're feeling kind of frisky.
Leave 8 5-star reviews.
8
That's
5-star.
a lot of 5s.
Yeah, 8 5-star reviews. Justin's got it right. Okay, so Magic the Gathering, we obviously went ahead and picked up booster boxes, the two of us. I got the set booster. I think you did as well. I'm not looking at it from a value perspective on this one. I had a lot of fun with what I pulled. Got plenty of Planeswalkers, which is pretty interesting. Got Lulf. I've got Mordenkainen, the green one, the white one.
The
and
full art Tiamat?
Yeah,
full
that
art
one.
Tiamat.
That was like, whoa, you actually pulled one of the best cards out of the set.
Yeah, that was cool. I think Justin actually pulled that because we opened the booster box together. So the full art Tiamat and some really like interesting little nifty cards specific to the set. I love the art on this set. Obviously, it's D&D themed, so I just love that in general. But the sketched out art was really cool to pull from this. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's so neat. Like, I've been out of Magic for a long time, so I was trying to learn a lot coming back in, but like I've been so stoked about these different sets ever since I heard that they were going to be doing all these crossover ones. And it's just so fun, like, to be able to pull cards and recognize them, and the amount of work that they put into, like, detailing some of these cards. Like I was showing Justin earlier, they have so many of these cards that have like choices on them for what you want to do. And it's like, you see a guard approaching and it's like, do you distract the guard? Do you like run? Like there's different options, and they give you a lot of dynamic choice, but they also feel very D&D. I mean, like, I've seen a video online a long time ago. I can't remember who it was. I wish I could give them credit, but they would go through sometimes, like if they were trying to come up with like a D&D adventure or something, they'd like pull some Magic cards and look at the art and try to get inspired to come up with a campaign idea. But like with things that are on these Magic cards, like they're literally like setups and hooks and situations you could find yourself in, and actual D&D creatures. And it's like you could really build like a whole campaign, or you could, I mean, if you were like a really creative person and you played Magic in like a really drugged out way or something, you could play a game of Magic and like think about it like a D&D adventure, and it would actually have like progression and stuff. The dungeon mechanic is such a cool thing to have like as an extra like little side thing going on.
The travel into the dungeon mechanic is really interesting. The fact that they even put a D20 dice into a lot of the card effects is really ingenious on their part.
Yeah, I liked it. It reminds me of the coin flips from back in the day. Like I know there's still coin flip type cards, but yeah, a lot of coin flip mechanics back then. That was pretty cool. Yeah, I like this set.
There's
so
even
far.
like advantage. There's like a blue pixie creature that gives you advantage on your rolls.
Yeah,
that's so neat.
Yeah, it's pretty cool mechanics overall. I really like it. I'm happy with the set and how it's turned out, and I kind of want to dip into some standard, even though it's like the devil to me, and see how I feel about it, because Legacy is my jam, as well as some modern. So we'll see how it all goes. But in terms of like original Magic, man, like I don't know when you were playing, but I remember like my first booster pack was Mercadia Mask.
Eldrazi was the last time I played.
Yeah, so my first booster was Mercadia Mask. I pulled a Rishodon Port in my first ever pack, and then never opened another pack again until I think it was Shadowmoor is when I kicked in, played a little bit of that all the way up to like the Mirrodin Besieged, Zendikar, Worldwake type of era, and then kind of jumped out of it until recently. So I've been picking up a lot of random cards here and there.
Yeah, he's the one who cursed my wallet. He's like, he comes back and he's like, "Hey, Justin, you got to play this Magic game." And I'm like, "What? Really?" He's like, "It's really cheap, man. It's got a lot of affordable cards in it. You don't have to build with the best cards." And then a couple years later, I'm spending a couple grand on this game. Like,
yeah. So I was in college playing, and that was the first time I kind of got right back into it. And so we're sitting back. I relearned it, had some decks and stuff. I come back home at some point in time, and I just kind of sat back with him and my brother. I'm like, "Check this out." I'm like, "This is pretty cool." So we start playing, and we're like, "Yeah, this is pretty cool." And Justin was like, "I don't want to get into another card game," because like we had just gotten out of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like several years before that.
Oh, were you guys like hardcore Yu-Gi-Oh?
We were like
people?
hardcore buying Yu-Gi-Oh!
Hardcore.
Stuff. Like we'd go to tournaments and win in tournaments and such all the time. So like we had our decks like full blown. Like I was running Exodia, he was running some other crazy
Lava
stuff.
Golem.
Yeah, he was running some crazy decks. I was too. My brother was running decks, and then at some point it was like, "Check this out." And they started playing. He's like, "No, I don't want to get into another card game." And lo and behold, the next time I come back, he's got like multiple decks and boxes of cards. It was great.
I was playing in stores. I was playing pre-night releases and all kinds of stuff. I actually beat out 100 people in one of the pre-night release, and I got like 2 boxes for free. It was pretty awesome.
Well, he got lucky. The 2 boxes you picked up were the one with Liliana of the Veil, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not too sure.
Yeah. And then I don't know, like 8 years later, I bought his entire collection and my brother's collection.
Yeah, I know
So-
you got like a mountain of Magic last
It's
year.
ridiculous how much I got.
I gave it to him for like 60%, so he got 40% off.
That was the last time you were in town when that happened, right?
Yes, that was the last
Yeah.
time I was here actually on your show.
Yeah, so-
it was. It's amazing. Like, I mean, I've only been back into Magic now for a couple weeks, and I mean, I did have a small stint with buying Pokemon cards last month. It's amazing how quickly it catches you again, and then you find yourself like having that itch, and you're like, "Man, I could just stop
crap.
into this Target and buy a pack real quick, just get a quick fix, just listen to that foil crinkle."
It's the reason it's called Cardboard Crack.
It's Cardboard Crack. There's actually a comic online if you look them up, the Cardboard Crack, and they do all kinds of funny Magic comics.
Oh yeah, I've been reading them for years. Yeah, so we're playing a lot of Magic now, and hopefully we can all get into a tournament this week, like some sort of draft or something.
Yeah,
like,
that'd be sick.
pretty cool.
And I'd like to try to spend some more time trying to like I haven't made like a standard deck out of any of this. The only thing I've really done, I did a draft and made a draft deck with my friends out of the set booster that I bought, and that was a ton of fun. And then I bought a couple commander decks and made my own, and we were just playing with those before we recorded. And I had no idea about commander format. Like, if you're out there and you're like I was 2 weeks ago, and you like Magic but you haven't played in a while, there's this new thing, Commander, that's sick, man. Like, instead of my best 10 cards in 4 and your best 10 cards in 4 versus each other, it's 100 cards,
Singleton.
and they all have to be different. So you get to see so much cooler stuff and do many like different combos and stuff. Like, you can have multiple games, that it's not just the same thing over and over and over again. It just basically, because it's like, it's boring when it comes down to, all right, who has the best opening hand wins.
Yeah. The way that Commander is just because it's so 100 cards and there's so many different ways to play that deck. There's so many situations that may arise that you've never been in before. Also, Commander, you generally play a lot higher cost cards, where in Vintage and Legacy and in Modern, you never play anything past like, 5 droppers, 7 drops. You don't really play that many cards. And in Commander, you're playing a 10 drop time card that gives you 2 extra turns. Like, it's ridiculous.
I don't know about you, but in Legacy, I play 15 drop cards all the
Yeah,
time.
you cheated out into play. You don't actually get the mana for it. He's just like sneak and show and wins the game.
I love my sneak and show. Yeah, but what I was going to say, like, I remember playing back when it was like EDH is what the technical term, I guess, was. So Elder Dragon Highlander, I think is what it was called. And so, yeah, it was basically Commander. And then it kind of went from there, as far as I remember.
It was like a fan mode, and then like Wizards saw that it was super popular and made it like an actual official mode.
Yeah, they released a set for it too.
It's technically not sanctioned though, so you don't have any sanctioned gameplay. You just have like pods and stuff that they do at stores, but there's no sanctioned gameplay tied to it.
And there is a restricted list, so before you start buying cards, make sure that the cards you're getting are not on the restricted list.
Dude, it's crazy too. I went back to that game shop and I was looking at the Commander decks, and they had like, maybe I mentioned this last time, they had like a Commander deck that's like $200, $300 or something. It's like some vampire deck.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of Commander decks that came out a long time ago, and the thing is the cards that were in them, because it's an automatic gimme, some of them are just worth quite a bit of money. So there was a point in time where there was one Commander deck that was going for quite a bit because it had like Flusterstorm in it, and that card was like $40-$50 at the time. And once Flusterstorm had several reprints, I mean, you can get it for like $2-3 now, or actually maybe more, since things have gone up a bit more since last year. But yeah, I mean, that particular deck was going for quite a bit just because of that one card. The Sliver deck that they released years ago, it's not a Commander deck, but the Sliver deck, for example, is like
Slivers
all foil.
cool.
That deck goes for like quite a stupid amount of money. So, all right, I've always had a lot of fun with it. Hopefully we can play some Legacy beforehand, or play some Modern, or
good
a
old
tournament.
drafts. I love drafts.
If we could
Drafts are the best.
we can do a draft this week. We'll have to find a store, call them up, see if they're doing anything, but I'd be totally down for that. Well, let's get into our first topic outside of Magic, you guys. The first one was, I'll let you read the article. It's going to be that retro game one.
Okay, so which retro games hold up today and haven't lost their charm? This is by Harry Thompson at the Nerd Stash. This is just kind of a short list talking about some absolute classics that really hold up to today. And, it's at this time where we're at in the generation. Like, there's been a lot of other news. We don't really have articles on it this week, but like things are getting delayed a lot right now. Like, we're going into the second holiday season for the next gen, and there's really not like a lot of reasons to specifically own a PS5. A lot of that promised stuff is delayed or coming out on PS4 now, it turns out. So what are some games that you could absolutely play, that will always be around for you, even when the modern stuff disappoints? That's what this short list is here. And I think that...
you just run through the list. We don't have to go into detail on each game.
Yeah, so, I mean, starter is Super Mario Bros. 3.
Oh, of course.
Of course. Tetris. Mortal Kombat. This one I hadn't heard of. Sensible World of Soccer.
I hadn't either, actually.
Never heard of it.
It's from 1994. What's it say it's on? It doesn't even say what console it's on. I'm sure...
It's probably PC or something.
Well, it's got... What the hell?
Well, let's keep going.
Okay, no, it says 1994's Sensible World of Soccer, and it's got Xbox 360 logos in the picture on here.
Might have been re-released.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah,
but, it's nice to see a soccer game without surprise mechanics.
that's true.
Or the guys that designed the game are actually time travelers.
That too.
That could be. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 rounds out the list here. So, I mean, it's a very short list, but, I mean, I don't know why Sensible World of Soccer is on here, because of all these games, that is not even in the same universe as Sonic and Mario and Mortal Kombat and Tetris. Like,
Well, maybe
what?
it is. We hadn't heard of it.
Who made this list?
Well, this guy did.
Was this you, Harry Thompson?
Did he leave out Tony Hawk Pro Skater in there?
Probably did. Yeah, he did.
Oh, I have a word to pick with him.
So, I mean, when looking at retro games in general, right, I think the overall discussion really needs to be on, are they really going to die out in terms of, popularity, right? Are they going to be something that we're not going to go back to? And
Dude,
I think
it'll never die.
Yeah.
I'll go to my grave shouting the praises of Sensible World of Soccer.
Okay, probably not that far. But, still play Tetris. Tetris has taken many forms, but the original Tetris is always fun. Everybody always goes back to Mario 3. Mortal Kombat's still a big thing in terms of retro, and Sensible Soccer, I guess, is there too. Sonic is probably the only one I would disagree with, right? Because I don't know how many people are rolling around playing Sonic 2 on a consistent basis.
I mean, Sonic 2 is definitely a good retro. I would say of everything on this list, though, besides Sensible World of Soccer, everything else here has learned to evolve and move forward, and we're still seeing very successful iterations. I mean, Sonic Forces was the last new Sonic game, I think, and now they're remaking Colors and a couple other games, but those aren't out yet. Like, everybody knows how much Sonic has lost its way as it's kind of inevitably moved forward, but we can all agree that the older titles have still kept their luster, at least.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And, like we said, the argument is that are these games going to lose any sort of popularity moving forward? Answer is obviously no. People are going to keep playing retro games. And, I think, to your point, regardless of what the market looks like, if games are crappy, if new developers aren't putting anything out that we like, we can always go back to the classics, and there's always a huge array of games that you can play from various companies years back. The one thing I would say, though, is there are going to be a lot of titles that over time just don't look as good. I'm trying to think of some right off the bat, but there's like a mech type game that I had years ago that just looks like hot garbage if you try to play it on Super Nintendo. There are some Nintendo games that look like trash when you try to play them nowadays. I think it's just really kind of pick your poison and see what's going to hold up best. But I think at the end of the day, retro is going to hold up for many years, even beyond right now.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay, well, what's our next article, man?
There's one thing. So after I had read this article, it kind of made me think of something. I guess I should have brought this up sooner so you guys had some time to think. But kind of in that context of things from here that have really held up over time, like, what's a game that you think that the original is still, like, good looking, holds up well, is like a really good representation of that game, but you would like to see remade in a way to modernize it or give it like new, like a fresher coat of paint, like not necessarily like the Final Fantasy VII remake kind of level of improvement, but just more like an HD remaster or something that still keeps that nostalgic feel, but just in a more modern sensibility. So
you're saying like the Trails of Mana, Legend of Mana type of things that came out where it kind of 3D, like redid it in a 3D type of setting?
What I was thinking of, and I don't know exactly what from this article inspired this thought in me, but I was thinking of Brave Fencer Musashi. Like that game, like with its like chibi art style and its like weird gameplay and story, like the way that it looks now is a perfect encapsulation of that. And like trying to like modernize it in a crazy way with like FF7 Remake wouldn't really hold up, but I would like to see what it would be like if they were able to modernize it in some way and bring it up.
Apparently I've been handed 2 recent pickups.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Dun, 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 dun.
I now have Hellpoint on the PS4. I've been wanting to play that for a while.
I've never even heard of that one.
Yeah, so Hellpoint, go look that one up. The other one is actually a PAL game on the PS4. This one is
you could just tell this PAL from looking at the front?
Peggy 12.
Oh, it has Peggy 12
Peggy 12.
in the corner, okay.
This is Ghosts of a Tale. So I've been wanting to play this one as well. So yeah, I'm excited. Ghosts of a Tale is an action RPG. And then I think Hellpoint, if I recall, was... doesn't say on here. I add a lot of stuff to my list all the time, every year. So, can't remember what that one was, but I know it looked really good and had good reviews.
At some point.
So that's one I'll play.
Well, I heard they were also remaking Fatal Frame. What was that, on the PS2 back in the day? A horror game?
I think Fatal Frame came out, PS2. Fatal Frame 1, 2, and 3 on the PS2. And then they had Fatal Frame on the Wii U as well. And that one's coming out on the Switch and PS4 and I think PS5 and Xbox Series XS. I don't know about the one, and probably PC. But yeah, so that one's going to be coming out. But I think to answer your question as far as like a retro game looking to have it remade, I think Chrono Cross is one that if it had that same kind of treatment like the new Legend of Mana and Trails of Mana
Like,
and all that
it's
had.
perfect the way that it is now, but to see what they could do with it.
Yeah, to give it that nice
Yeah.
little coat, that'd be pretty cool. Maybe.
Like that Metro game they're really Nintendo's releasing.
Oh yeah,
right?
like Dread. Yeah, so Dread's
Yeah.
technically not a remake, but
it's kind of like bringing it back, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that style, because it's not the 3D style like they previously released of Metroid.
yep. No, I
This
agree.
is like a throwback all the way to like Fusion.
Yeah,
But
so
brought up, what was they just did that remake of Samus Returns a couple years ago on the 3DS.
yeah, I think I have that actually. So yeah, there's a few good ones out there. Another one, I guess, would be Donkey Kong Country 1, 2, and 3.
That would be cool.
Not that I don't appreciate that game as
Well,
it is.
I guess it would just look like the other new Donkey Kongs.
Yeah,
really.
exactly. That's what I was kind of thinking. It looked like the other ones, but it would be nice. It'd be like a fresh coat of paint on the old thing, and maybe some like additional bonuses and additional levels. That'd be pretty cool to kind of throw in there. Because for those games in particular, they had like this just luster to them. The way that they were set, there weren't a whole lot of gimmicky things like. What you have in the Tropical Freeze and all of that. Like, it was just straight up original Donkey Kong Country, which I really enjoyed. So I think if they put that fresh coat of paint but left it the same and maybe added in some new levels or expansions of things, that might be pretty cool.
Oh, that would be pretty cool. Like an update on the original game. Extra levels. Pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think that'd be pretty nice.
The director's cut.
Director's
Donkey
cut.
Director.
Reimagined.
By John.
Not reimagined. We don't want to reimagine it. We want to keep it mostly the same.
So what do we have next here?
All right, so our next article: Man beats Dark Souls with homemade pizza controller. So the man who did this in the article, from what I can tell from the tweet, was Super Lewis 64. The actual article that we have is from Nintendo Wire and written by Jason Ganos, but for the most part, it's just a little blurb and then a link to the tweet. This guy, I guess, beat Dark Souls with a pizza controller. He took like a controller thing, did something with wires, plugged those wires into the pizza, and then used the pizza to be, the man.
I really hope it was a Hawaiian pizza because I love pineapple on pizza.
He's not allowed on the podcast anymore. That's it.
I saw a meme the other day or something. It was like people who put pineapple on pizza and people who don't. We have a new common enemy, and it was like a pizza with kiwi on it.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That was pretty good.
I think I shared that one.
Yeah, you probably did. Yeah, so I would have to say with this, dude, was there a full video on that? Because I just can't believe that somebody sat back.
I mean, he's streaming.
So he streamed.
I mean, in the tweet, like the tweet is like a compilation
But
of
I'm just-
probably what he did. So I would imagine if we go to Super Lewis and look at his Twitch account, we could probably find like video on it.
I just want to know how many hours that man sat there. And just think about it. The only way he could heal with his Estus flask was to eat a piece of pizza, he said. So, and he shows himself streaming, eating a piece of pizza, and it heals. I'm going to guess either somebody on the back end was controlling it and actually playing the game for him, which could be weird, or he legitimately did this in like spurts, like new pizzas every single time he played.
Also, right under that, he has a video of controlling Final Fantasy 14 with a dual deck.
This guy's crazy.
I'd like to see him do it with a Guitar Hero controller.
Oh, there's already been somebody with the Guitar Hero controller, but the pizza is pretty impressive. And the fact that he has to eat it to heal is even better. I do want to watch that full video. I don't believe him. And after a while, cold pizza just isn't that good. So did he like stop healing? Did he have to reheat his pizza throughout? Did he buy new pizzas? There's a lot of unanswered questions here from him.
But I really do love cold pizza, especially if it's Hawaiian with pineapple. It's so tasty.
Oh, God, I'll eat a pineapple pizza every now and then if I need to, but It's only if it's the only thing there. Ryan, any further comments on this?
I mean, I'm just super impressed and hungry.
That's a good final comment. So I don't think we had any other articles to talk about today, but I figured we'll do a spur of a moment, inflation, deflation on the new Magic the Gathering set.
That's exactly what I was thinking here. We were talking about Adventures in Forgotten Realms Magic the Gathering set, developed by Wizards of the Coast, published by Wizards of the Coast, released in July of 2021. This is a TCG style game. And the reception is awesome. I think everybody digs it. I think that it's a very successful crossover. I mean, with everything that's been going on, pumping up the world of Dungeons and Dragons in the modern world over the last few years, it's been catching on like wildfire. I mean, last year with the pandemic, Pokemon cards surged, and I mean, I don't think there's ever a shortage on Magic cards. I think you could basically always find Magic cards. So, I mean, now's a great time to jump in if you're somebody who's a fan of one of these properties and curious about the other. It's a really great mix, and you could go the other way too. There's a lot of D&D products that take place in like Magic the Gathering settings, like set books.
And if you don't want to go in person because you're still afraid of COVID, they do have the arena. Now, you got to be really careful with the arena set in the way that it is, because there is a lot of things, microtransactions in the app that you can play, but it plays just like the game. You can't play Commander on it yet. They haven't implemented that, but they do have drafting on it. They have all kinds of stuff. You can play against friends. It plays just like the normal Magic game.
Yeah, I've been wanting to try arenas for a while now. I haven't had a chance to load it up, mainly because my phone is just trash right now.
I just can't imagine trying to own two different sets of cards, like physical and digital.
That's why, when I got rid of my cards, I'm like, I don't go to tournaments that much anymore and stuff. And then I downloaded the game, and I'm like, this is kind of perfect for me because I don't really have the time to go, and I can play Magic on the go wherever I'm at. That's the only difference really I see in having it on the digital version than in personal, because when you have the actual cards, you actually have to have people to play with, unless you want to do like a Zoom session or something like that.
Yeah, and I haven't done a Zoom Magic session in a long time. The other thing with like physical cards is just storage. I mean, there's just a lot of storage needed. Dude, I've got like 4,000 or 5,000 count boxes that aren't even in the house yet because I haven't had a place to put them, and I still got to sort.
And
from
also,
what I got
if
from you.
like you have like a natural disaster, so let's say you have a flood, and your cards get ruined. Whereas if you have it on digital, it's going to be on. You have an account that's actually in Wizards. That if your phone dies, you just get a new phone and recover the account, and you got your cards there.
The only downside is, and we talked about this before, digital versus physical in gaming, is if they decide to shut servers down, if they decide to get rid of a game, ban your account, whatever it may be, you don't physically own that information.
No like resale value.
Yeah, well, they have two versions. They have arenas, and then they have the game that they said that they would never get rid of. That's been out since 1998 or something like that. It's old. It looks outdated. But those cards they actually do sell on the internet. They have this system called like Ticket System. It's really different, but I don't like it because it's slow. They did update the look of it, but it doesn't look as good as Arenas. Arenas looks great.
That's like the Premier, and the other one's the Legacy.
Yeah, Magic the Gathering Online.
Yeah, you can play with like Black Lotus on the other one, but again, they have like an entire marketplace where you pay with tickets and stuff.
But as far as, this new set is concerned, I love the mechanics that have been introduced, like we talked about before with the dungeon delving. The artwork is fantastic. The collector's edition, I haven't picked anything up from it, but I imagine those look beautiful as well. Of course, the little bit that we played with the Commander decks, I felt that the D20 implementation is a great implementation for this. It doesn't feel like you can't play these cards, in another type of format. So I think that they would hold a place in like the other formats if there's a viable card, of course. And yeah, man, I've just enjoyed it. I think it's, how much is it right now? What's the brass tacks?
So brass tacks on Magic the Gathering is kind of all over the place. So like you can get a Commander deck. I think there's 4 for this new set, and they're like $40. You can get a set booster like we got. I think those are around like $110 10 to 120. You could get one of those fat packs. Those are, I think, between like 40 and 50. There's 3 different kinds of booster packs that you can get: the set boosters, the other boosters, and the shiny one. And those are like, I think like $4, $6, and $15 or something like that. There's the theme starters that you can get that come with like a bunch of commons and uncommons, all in a certain color or whatever. You can go online and buy singles. You can go to a store and buy singles. You can trade with your friends. You could probably stand outside of a game shop and do performance art for common tips. There's probably lots of ways to get into Magic, but really, my suggestion, since I just jumped back into it myself, would be to, probably find somebody that's already into it, get an idea of what you want to do, and then probably pick up one of those command decks, because there's strong theming and different ways to play, and you don't want to buy something that you're not ultimately going to wind up being happy with, and you're not going to have enough cards from one commander deck to really be able to break it into anything else to play any other way.
I mean, if you buy it, maybe just hold on to it for 10 years and maybe you got lucky and it actually had a good card and you make, it's another Black Lotus.
Yeah.
You get a new carve with it,
Yeah, I think with this particular set, I mean, obviously they overprint a lot of this stuff compared to years past, so your value doesn't hold as well long term unless there's, some of those like uncommons or commons that
nobody thought about, and all of a sudden 5 years later it just becomes stupid good.
Yeah, you get cards like that. But I would say my thought on it is right now at that $110 price point to get a booster box, totally worth it. $40 for Commander. I think Amazon has it's like $120 for all 4 of the Commander decks. Is definitely a pretty good value if you want to go that route.
I think the best way you could probably get into Magic would be to buy one of the set booster boxes with some friends and just run some drafts, because it's going to come with enough packs that if you go in with 4 friends, I mean, for 20 something bucks, you're all going to walk away with like, a halfway whatever 40 card deck, enough to at least play around and have some fun with and do some trading and get started.
Yeah,
that's not a bad investment. $20.
That's a fun way to do it. And then, I mean, I'm always, if you got the funds, pick up one of the pre-made decks or a booster box and a deck.
See, that's the thing. I haven't seen just like standard edition pre-made deck.
They'll come out with them if they're not
series.
Out. Yeah, they'll have them if they're not out already. Like they did it with Strixhaven, has its own little sets and such. So, yeah, I think it's worth it. I love the artwork and such and where it's going, and I definitely want to.
The artwork's the best. There's all these like full art cards that are like numbered on the back, and some of them have like a golden signature on them. There's like full art cards for monsters that on the back of the card have like not the full stat block, which would have been cool, but just like the attribute stats for D&D creatures. I mean, there's so much in here. Like, if you're just a dungeon master, just buy a single pack and open it up and just read the captions and look at the cards, and like there's so much imagination in there. You could totally just like be inspired and come up with some crazy adventure for your players.
Or like maybe use it as a visualization, and show the players, hey, this is what the monster is, and let them hold the card, and kind of as long as it gets that visual going, the game even gets better.
Or in my case, you just buy a giant ass booster case of minis and open that bad boy up. That was a lot of fun. Oh man,
we didn't even talk about like the classes and stuff. The classes are sick too. I think that's an awesome mechanic.
Yeah, I think for somebody like me, because I do play a lot of the legacy and modern type gaming, that's all old stuff. So like a lot of what's in this set, that's why like with these sets when they come out, you can kind of every now and then pick and choose like 1 or 2 cards that come into the new sets and like implement it into an older deck with no problem. But for me, reading a lot of these cards and what they do and seeing the mana costs and all that, when I look at it, I'm like, this is just standard. This is just casual play for me. And, that's the only downside. So, like, the classes, for me, wouldn't do me any good. As cool as they are, they definitely fit in this standard setting. And I guess Pioneer down the road. But in terms of like the older sets, it doesn't excite me as much, some of the classes. I'm more excited about some of the crazy fun mechanics and just doing this for casual play. I think that's where I'm at with it. And of course, I do want to do standard, which is competitive, but that's a different animal in itself where you get to mix the current sets that are out.
I think the best way to get into the game would be to go to a local draft. And what they do is they usually have pass and goes. Those are the cheapest ones to do. Take a lot of time out of your day, so you're paying for the time there. You get 3 booster packs. You open the first one. You look at the pack. You pick the card you want. Take the rest of the pack, pass it to the next player, and it just keeps going. And then you get the cards that you want to build, and you build that deck. And it's a lot cheaper than going to like straight standard and buying $300 for a deck and stuff like that, because you already got the deck to play with. And then you play like Swiss, or you play all day with that one little deck. Mm-hmm. That's what I like about.
And it's a good way to build up rares too. So what I used to do is back when the Mirrodin, Besiege, and all that was coming out, I would actually do pass and go drafts all the time, and I'd come out of drafts with like 12, 15 rares sometimes in pods of 8. My favorite time though is I got one of the swords, but it was a foil sword. I forget which one it was, but I got 2. So I got the foil sword, and then I got a non-foil in the same pack.
And then he dropped out of the draft.
I dropped out of a draft. I'm like, no way am I going to give up another sword, like a foil. I'm like, no, sorry guys, like I'm out. And they're like, what? And I'm like, would you drop out? And I showed what I got, and they're like, yeah, that's a good reason to drop out.
Just taking a run.
They had like no questions asked. They're like, yep, you're going to drop. We have no concern if you're leaving this tournament off of that. But yeah, it was always pretty cool to do that. So definitely pass and go drafts if you can get them at your local shop. Well, dude, I don't have much else to say on this, but I would have to say that just right is the price point for this.
Yeah, there's no wrong. The only wrong is to not get in at all.
Well, I mean, it's probably a right because that's a lot of money.
Yeah, unless you care about your money at all.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you're into Magic, I think that this is a great set for sure. All right, guys. Well, this has been episode 142 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John.
I have Game Pass.
And my name's Justin, just the ordinary guy.
And Ryan is the one that has Game Pass. But thanks for listening.